Routine is a strange thing, isn't it? We find comfort in the repetition of the ordinary, walking the same streets, passing the same houses, hearing the same sounds every day. Creates a sense of safety, false assurance that nothing unexpected will ever happen. But sometimes it's within the most familiar spaces that the truly terrifying begins to unfold. Imagine something that lurks just beneath the surface of your everyday life, waiting for the perfect moment to shatter that illusion of safety. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more chilling stories. Share this video with a friend who appreciates a good scare, and give it a thumbs up. Your support helps us keep these eerie tales coming. Now, let's dive into tonight's unsettling story. The evening had settled in quietly, with that kind of stillness that always seems heavier when it's cold outside. I tugged on my jacket and grabbed the leash off the hook by the door. My dog Charlie was already circling excitedly at my feet, knowing it was time for our nightly walk. It was a routine we had both grown to love, kind of peaceful ritual that closed out each day. 3 walks a day, morning, noon, and night, through the same streets, around the same corners. There was something comforting in the predictability of it. Or so I thought. The air was crisp that night, with a slight bite that hinted at the approaching winter. We left the familiar warmth of the house and stepped into the quiet darkness. Streetlights cast long, thin shadows across the pavement, and the world around me seemed to exhale in that low hum of nighttime quietness. It was a route I knew well, around the block, past the park, and then looping back toward the row of parked cars near my condominium. As Charlie and I made our way along the sidewalk, everything felt normal. The same houses with their warmly lit windows, the same distant hum of traffic far off in the city. But as we rounded the corner near the parking lot, something felt different. It's hard to explain, but the air suddenly felt heavier, like I had walked into a place I wasn't meant to be. Charlie slowed his pace, his ears perking up as if he heard something I couldn't. And then, out of nowhere, I heard it. Help. It was faint, almost like a whisper carried on the wind, but it stopped me in my tracks. I strained my ears, wondering if I had imagined it. Maybe it was a distant sound from one of the houses or someone in the parking lot. But no, it came again. Help. The voice was small, like that of a child, but there was something off about it, something almost mechanical. I scanned the area, trying to pinpoint where the sound was coming from, but there was no one around. The street was completely empty. My heart began to race as my mind struggled to make sense of what I was hearing. Help. The word repeated again, but this time, there was a chilling sameness to it, like it was stuck in a loop. The inflection, the tone, everything was identical to the last. My dog began to whimper, his tail tucked between his legs as he edged closer to me, his leash pulling tight in my grip. The voice seemed to be coming from the direction of the parked cars. I squinted into the dimly lit lot, trying to see if there was anyone there, but the shadows cast by the cars were thick and impenetrable. My pulse quickened as I stepped closer, drawn toward the source of the voice, though every instinct told me to turn back. Help. Came again, the exact same way. I stopped in my tracks, unsure of what to do. Was someone in trouble? A child, perhaps? Or was it something else, something far more sinister? The voice repeated over and over, each time with the same eerie precision. Help, help, help. By now, Charlie was nearly frantic. He was pulling at the leash, trying to drag me away from the parking lot, his body shaking with fear. My own fear was growing too, a cold knot tightening in my stomach. I stood there frozen for what felt like an eternity, listening to that same wordplay over and over again like a broken record. But it wasn't just the word that was unsettling. It was the fact that the voice never changed. It was always the same pitch, the same tone, like it wasn't even human at all, but some sort of mimicry. There was no variation, no panic or urgency in the cry for help. just an endless repetition of the same phrase and the same chilling monotony. I forced myself to move closer to the cars, inching toward where I thought the sound was coming from. I peered between the rows of vehicles, my heart thudding painfully in my chest. There was nothing. No sign of a child, no sign of anyone at all. Suddenly the voice stopped. The parking lot was plunged back into a heavy silence, kind that felt almost oppressive, to the strange, repetitive cry. For a moment, I thought I had imagined the whole thing. Maybe I was overtired. Maybe it was just a trick of the wind or some bizarre acoustic. But then I saw Charlie. His fur was bristling, his body stiff, and his eyes wide with fear as he stared at something near the cars. I followed his gaze, but again, there was nothing, only shadows. Help. The voice came again, louder this time, and from much closer. It was as though the source of the sound had moved, even though I hadn't seen anyone. Panic surged through me. This wasn't normal. Something was very wrong. I backed away, my grip tightening on Charlie's leash. We turned and started to walk quickly back toward the house, but the voice followed us. Help, help, help. It echoed behind me, always at the same volume, always the same exact sound. The walk back home felt like a blur. My mind was racing with questions. What had I just heard? Where had it come from? And why did it feel so wrong? Even after we had reached the safety of my house, locked the door behind us, and sat in the familiar comfort of my living room, voice haunted me. I spent the rest of the night in a state of unease, replaying the incident over and over in my mind. Was it real? Or had my imagination gotten the better of me? Couldn't be sure. All I knew was that the voice had followed me home, not in sound, but in memory. Its repetition echoed in my mind, a haunting reminder of the night's unsettling events. To this day, I still hear that voice in my head. The same monotonous cry for help, looping endlessly. I never found out what caused it, and the parking lot has been silent ever since. But sometimes when I pass by that spot during our walks, I feel that same heaviness in the air. A chill runs down my spine, and I quicken my pace, hoping to put distance between myself and whatever lingers in the shadows of ordinary. What do you think? Was it a trick of the mind, or something more sinister? Have you ever experienced something inexplicable that left you questioning reality? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And before you go, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, share this video with anyone who loves a good creepy tale, and hit that like button if this story made the hairs on your neck stand on end. Thanks for watching, and remember, sometimes the scariest things are hidden in the most familiar places. Stay safe out there.